Hello, everyone, and welcome to Four Lads Rangers Weekend podcast. Rangers are Euro Kings once more. Listen, we're allowed to dream, and tonight we're going to have some fun. We're going to look back on last night, the pros and the cons, and the good and the bad. But it was a sensational night. I was joined in the gantry by Sheryl Ritchie, who was there reporting for Follow. We had a good time doing that. But Kenny, we will come to you first and give us your overall thoughts on last night's game and the fact that Rangers are in a quarter-final of a major European competition. It feels good.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It was a long night. That's the first thing I'll say. It was a long evening. I was really went into the game fully expecting to go through, and was kind of disabused in that notion at halftime, just on the stroke of halftime, when I really did think that we were going to be up against it, which it was the case. But listen, I'll agree with the manager. I think he actually got that spot on. The team showed some amount of character to hang in there when they were really under pressure. So overall, Stevie, absolutely delighted, totally buzzing about it. And it was one of those games that you're just waiting for something to happen the entire game. I thought that when I look back on the game, put it this way, when I look back on the game, I didn't realise we had quite so many shots, and we were very much in the game, but at times I just didn't feel that at the game, if you know what I mean. But we were, and listen, fair play, a fantastic achievement to go toe-to-toe with a team like that and get through the tie. That's what I would think. But my nerves are shredded. I'm too old for this, mate. So next round, can we just get coast through or something like that, please?
No, we can't. This is Rangers. We don't do it that way. We absolutely don't do it that way. And it certainly made for a stressful night. I was confident last night. I must admit, I was feeling okay. I was really looking forward to it. I was in a good place, but it was a nervous 120 plus penalty minutes, that's for sure. Sheryl, you had fun on the gantry reporting for Follow. How did you find the overall experience? You got to see Mourinho, you got to do all that side of it, but the game first and foremost, how did you enjoy that?
I was the opposite from you, Stevie. I think I was the lone voice and feeling really worried and quite pessimistic about it. I just thought there was not a chance after last week that Mourinho was going to arrive and we would win 1-2-0. I just didn't think that was the case. Although I have to say, my memory, although everything kind of, I don't know, I feel like I was on the pitch with those players this morning when I woke up absolutely shattered with absolutely nothing left. I thought the first half, on the whole, up into the goal, we were controlling everything. I thought that everything that they gave us, we dealt with really well. I thought the back line were very solid. I thought midfield, we were fine. 50-50s, we won the bulk of. I actually, for as being as kind of pessimistic and worried as I was, I thought right up into the goal, we actually played really well. Maybe took a few many two touches. But other than that, I thought we were controlling everything. And then what an absolutely horrendous time to lose a goal. I think that kind of took the wind out of all of us just before half time, because up to then, it was going really well. I think that's all I want to discuss of the game, actually. Can we just go right to the penalties, please? Because the rest of it was pretty, at times, watching behind your fingers. I think we all got the feeling that second goal was coming, and then when the second goal came, it felt a wee, really nervy. And for me, certainly at points of, right, okay, when's the third coming? But I thought they dug in. You mentioned it, Stevie and Kenny. They dug in exceptionally well. One of the things that I was really worried about at halftime was the amount of yellow cards that we were on defensively, but they won. They just got on with it in the second half. They won their tackles. Nobody put themselves in daft positions, and I thought it was a really brave and gutsy, especially towards the end of that second period of extra time. I thought they did incredibly well.
I thought that Balogun and Shootout were immense, considering they were on bookings, and considering the Fred and Amrabat were so dominant in the second half, I thought our midfield dug in. I thought Conor Barron deserved a special mention last night. He ran himself right into the ground. And that's, I totally agree with you, Sheryl. I thought that with so many bookings, I thought that they really did have to hang on and be really disciplined, and they did that, didn't they?
Yeah, I thought they did. Look, I would agree. I thought we were fine in the first half. I don't remember them carving us open. I don't remember feeling concerned. There was one long ball over where Balogun got caught slightly side on, and the boy took an early volley. He went for a spectacular and he dragged it wide. And I was like, a wee bit at that moment. And then the goal came out of nothing, but it was a wonderful goal. You got a bit of luck with the cross. Sterling doesn't get close enough. It loops up and then the boy volleys it in. And I'm with you, Kenny. I think at that point I was like, right, okay, this is going to be really difficult because they're going to have their tails up and they're going to come right at us. But I was like, right, okay, fine, can handle that. And then we got penned in. And on the vlog, the matchday vlog from last night, I actually said around about 60 minutes, I was worried about how this was going because we were penned in at that moment in time and it felt like the goal was coming. And the goal did come. And then at 72 minutes, I think they scored in. I thought we were going to do very well to hang on. Barry then switches it. He changes to a 4 at the back, and it helped. Bayrami seemed to get into space more and shut down the space at Amrabat. I didn't really appreciate that at the time because I struggle a wee bit with Bayrami. I'd probably give him a harder time than he deserves. But I think Mortley said I would sub the sub because he was kind of doing my head in a wee bit with not passing and stuff. But then, Kenny, there was a mad period from 90 to 95 where it was almost like Rangers went gung-ho. Goal kicks, full-backs were so high. We were getting caught. There was one where he kicked it out and Eagleman chested it down and they came right back at us and they were like 4-on-2 at a point. James Tavernier had a wonderful saving challenge, which Butland then came back. I think that was possibly one of the 3 penalties that Mourinho wanted. And then there was another last-ditch saving tackle by James Tavernier as the ball screwed wide. Rangers were hanging on in that last closing period of normal time. And they shouldn't have been, because what I'm trying to get at is they were kind of doing it to themselves by not... It was almost like they were overcompensating. And me personally at that point, I was like, shut up shop, get it to extra time. But we got there. But I can't help but feel that the last 5 minutes was a big point where I was genuinely panicking about what was going to happen.
Yeah, and listen, I think that just comes down to a lack of confidence within the squad at the minute, where you've had a torrid 45 minutes there, 50 minutes in that second half, where we were getting run right over the top of it at times. And the last thing you want to do at that point is find yourself out. That would be horrific. That would be a really hard thing as a team to come back from. You know, if you're 3-1 up and you've lost 3-0 at home, that would be that would be terrible. But the thing I would say there about that, Stevie, is that I don't know if they actually kind of decided, right, we're just going to go for it and try and get a goal and kind of, just put the game to bed to a certain degree. But more and more in the case of we don't want to go and do extra time. And I don't know, Stevie, I just found that at times, and as I say, I do feel, I understand exactly what you mean, but I do feel that this is coming from a confidence issue that we have. I just feel that in general, we shouldn't actually be sitting there terrified as a squad, because they've done, in Europe in particular, they've done really quite well. But for me, it's plain to see, and I totally disagree with you on Bayrami. I thought Bayrami came on. I've had a couple of guys tell me today that they don't ever want to see him in a jersey again and stuff like that. I actually thought he came on and did really quite well. Not brilliant with the ball, but as you say, defensively, because we needed it, actually, because as I say, I felt that when you look at the the guys like Barron and Raskin, they were very, very tired. And he came on and he did a job for us, mate. But it's one of those dilemmas with this Rangers team. You just do not know what you're going to get. And that last 5 minutes, as you say, 4, 5, 6 minutes of that, normal time, kind of epitomises where the issues with this squad is. That I always feel that you can see when they're not confident, Stevie. You'll know, you're on the gantry every week. You'll see it better than they just don't want to play out for the back. It's 1, 2 or 3 touches and then it's a long ball. And they were resorting to that quite a lot last night as well, where I just felt they didn't have the confidence in them to actually just play through Fenerbahce. I don't know what you guys think, but I noticed it last night. There was quite a lot of long, aimless balls, and that's why the ball's coming back to so quickly.
Sheryl, there was 2 big attempts, I think, in extra time from Rangers. A James Tavernier free kick, which I thought was a wonderful effort, and then Czerny on his left foot, the goalkeeper tipped over. But it was an extra time where arguably Rangers were the better side of the 2. And that maybe comes down to the change of formation and players settling in a wee bit, the changes that were made. Credit to the manager there. But going into penalty kicks, how did you feel last night? Were you confident? Did that bit of extra time performance and that bit of spirit that they showed, did that give you a little bit of hope?
Do you know what? I actually did. And what I was absolutely intrigued by, and I know a few people have picked it up today, was the Czerny non-sub as well, so that the amount of pressure that was on him to actually go and stick that penalty away. And I believe, I don't know if you can keep me right, Stevie, but one of the things I heard last night was he was due to come off and then refused to come off because he wanted to stay on and take that penalty. He looked absolutely gubbed. He looked completely and utterly knackered. And I remember at one point, Ali and I were screaming for him to come off because he just looked absolutely shattered. And he was immense in the first half as well, Czerny. I thought, in general, everybody kind of faded away the second half. But everything was coming from him in that first half. So the fact that he stayed on and he put his penalty was excellent as well. I actually, for as negative as I felt before the game, I had a wee sneaky feeling that the penalties would be all right. I think the way that we dug in and we kind of seen it through the extra time, I had the feeling that the penalties might go our way.
Do you know when I thought, I said this before, I said it's vital we get them up that end. Have to get them up the Copeland Road end, Sheryl. When that happened, I thought, right, we're 50% there. Because if we had been at the other end, is it fair to say you're not that confident? But when we're at our end, I thought, right, okay, that's us got a major upper hand already. And it starts wonderfully well. Jack gets his leg there for the first one, and it's pretty perfect start for Rangers. And then Tav, who will come on to individuals in a minute, but he sets the kind of tone for the penalty kicks. And Hadji aside, who was unlucky as such, Butland was fantastic during that. You think Fenerbahce actually missed 3 of their penalties, 2 saves and 1 ballooned over. It was the perfect kind of penalty kicks for Rangers, and it all starts with one from James Tavernier, which is perfect.
Yeah, I don't know. Did it come across on the TV, Kenny, as loud as it was? Because you're right, Stevie. That made a massive difference, and the noise for the crowd behind that goal was absolutely incredible. And look, it's Fenerbahce; they're used to that kind of atmosphere at home, but certainly when it comes down to penalties, it must have made a huge difference because the noise was absolutely exceptional. Did you pick that up on the telly, Kenny?
Well, I was at the game, but
wait, sorry, I thought you were watching at home. Right. Apologies.
But, I picked it up.
Can I just say, sorry, I'll jump in quickly. I've rewatched it this morning, and I rewatched my own vlog as well because I'm sad that way. And it's massively noisy. It's actually quite funny when they score. It's like a pin drop. So yes, it was extremely loud.
Did you notice when you watched it back? Because I didn't hear it at all. That the siren, the Union Bears siren, was going to. I didn't hear it.
It was annoying. I didn't get that in the ground, but it was annoying.
No, I didn't. No, we have a wee kind of post Europa ritual every Friday morning that as soon as we wake up, the wee man comes and jumps in with me and we watch the highlights. And that's the thing that I picked up. You could hear that siren because I don't remember hearing it particularly
No, I didn't hear it at all.
And we were right down beside it, Stevie, but I didn't pick it up, but you pick it up so clearly on the highlights.
Kenny, what's your thoughts on the penalties? What was your feeling at the time in the stadium?
No, I wish I had Sheryl's confidence. I didn't. I just feel that it's 50-50. It's a lottery. It's who holds their nerve better. Again, having watched them back, I'll tell you what, there isn't a player from Fenerbahce who looks comfortable at all. None of them look comfortable. Whereas we do, actually, our players look really quite focused. I think the keeper got Yanis Hadji a little bit. I think he took a long, long time, and it's one of those things. Did I feel confident? No. Did I fancy as the minute Jack Butland saved the first one? Yeah, I did actually. As soon as they missed the first one, I thought we were going to do this. So yeah, it was nervy, but that. I'll tell you what, got to talk about that last penalty of theirs. How bad is that? I mean, that was the boy that was diving about, wasn't he, right at the end of the game as well? Good.
Yeah, so let's talk a wee bit individually about this Rangers performance. Individually wise, James Tavernier, I thought was absolutely brilliant. James Tavernier, since he's went to centre half, actually has been pretty spot on. A mistake against Motherwell, which happens, mistakes happen, but defensively last night, a couple of last-ditch challenges, easy for me to say, which were absolutely spot on. Single him out a wee bit. Sheryl, is there anybody else that you thought performed really well?
John Souttar. Alongside him, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. He's such a huge presence for us. He's such a big miss. And fingers crossed, he's the mainstay of our defence for the next few years. The only thing that worries me with Souttar is we don't have him probably more than we do. And any time that he is injured, it seems to be quite a long-term thing rather than out for a couple of weeks and back. But I thought last night he's so commanding again through his body on the line, and I thought he was excellent. A shout out as well, probably more so in the first half. I mentioned Czerny. I thought so much came from him in the first half. He obviously looked absolutely shattered, but again, to have the balls to step up and take that penalty when he was clearly as gubbed as he was, I thought he was excellent, particularly first half.
That's because he's bald, isn't it, Kenny? We are an elite people, so it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Is there anybody else that you thought, Sean?
Me personally, I thought the two centre halves were excellent. As I said earlier on, I just feel that the two of them were booked really quite early, Stevie. They were both booked within the first half hour, so you've got a full game of football to play without getting a booking, if you include the extra time. And to not dive in and commit a foul when you're under that kind of pressure, I thought they were brilliant. And out with that, as I say, Conor Barron, for me, really did catch the eye. Just with the work rate alone, I thought he really worked his backside off and deserves a lot of credit and a lot of praise for it, because he's not playing a lot of football. And he didn't look happy at all when he come off. I don't know if you noticed that. He was not wanting to come off either, but he had to.
Can we talk about Jefty? Can we do a wee bit on Jefty? Maybe a wee rest for Jefty, or a wee pushing up and Ridvan at the back? Because I thought he was pretty poor last night. I think he offers more if you maybe push him up slightly, but I just think he looks like he gets a bit of roasting most of the time.
Right, I think that the issue that Jefty's having at the moment is that every mistake he's making, he's costing us a goal. You look at one at Old Trafford, Queen's Park, cost of the goal last night, cost of the goal. I think he was possibly sleeping for another one that I may or may not have missed out, either St Mirren or Motherwell. He's been sleeping in one of those games. It's all kind of merged into one. I like Jefty. He's young. He does make good movements. The problem I've also got is he's got no delivery. He's got no end product. I don't agree with people saying, we're either, like Rangers are a bit, you're either sugar or you're shite, and there's no in between. And I'm not quite sure it's like that. And I mean, I think there's plenty of promise. It wasn't long ago, for Christmas over that New Year period, Celtic at home and that we were rabbiting on about how good he was. So he's clearly suffering. He's not played this amount of games before. And I think maybe he's just struggling with the demands a wee bit, Kenny. I think it's a fair comment, Sheryl, like 100%. If we're going to praise guys, we should be looking at, those that possibly struggling a wee bit. And I think that, Jeffy does come into it. Kenny?
Yeah, listen, we've talked about Jeffy quite a lot in recent weeks because he is off the boil, way off the boil. And that, you're absolutely right there. Every mistake he's making is costing, is damaging the team. Is it perhaps, and I'll throw that one at you, is it maybe coincidental that he was getting linked to a big move away at Chelsea and it's maybe just affected him slightly? I don't know. I'm not saying it has, I'm just suggesting that he's ever since then, his form has really dipped. But it could be exactly what you're saying, Stevie, that he's a young boy and he's playing twice a week, every single week, all season. And he won't be used to that. And I don't know. I do agree with the Perry, though. Certainly Sheryl, I do think that he needs a rest. He needs a couple of weeks out of the team, I think. And we have the opportunity to do that now. We get Sunday out of the way and it's prepare for this next game, isn't it? In the Europa League. It is that simple. Just get prepped for that and throw everything at it. And yeah, I just feel that Jeffy is one of those players at this minute that kind of encapsulates the way our team is. But as you say, it's all sugar or shite or whatever you want to call it. But it is one of those things that James Tavernier went through a run of this earlier on the season, couldn't play well. Diamandi gets it. Everybody, the serial dessers, that we are very inconsistent as individuals. I think that's the problem. And again, I think a lot of that's down to confidence, Stevie, and I don't think he's particularly confident in his defensive duties. He should never dive in the way he did last night. Never, ever, ever. I mean, I played fullback when I was a kid. You're taught that really young. Don't dive in because you sell yourself, and it was a terrible mistake, to be honest.
Before we sum up last night, folks, I'm going to bring up just something before we go. Hopefully I do this right because I'm never quite sure. I was asked to get a selfie last night by somebody, so I'm just going to let you all see. There it is. The special one and the very special one. It was a great moment. I don't think he could have looked any less interested in his life. I don't care. I'm absolutely delighted. My wee chubby face peeking in there, smiling. So, a bucket list moment, Kenny. We've been talking about meeting Josie and that Josie, for a very long time. And listen, by the way, considering he'd just done the presser, considering he was a bit miffed about everything that went on, considering that he was, he was the nicest guy. Took time, spoke to me. I said, excuse me, and had a wee chat and asked him if it was okay. Didn't mean to bother him. Said, not bother me, in you come. And he couldn't have looked less interested in the photo, but I don't care. That's going up in the room. Pictures of kids are coming down from the living room. Me and Josie are going right up there.
He's class, isn't he? I mean, he is. He's class. He's also very, very funny. And I absolutely love listening to him. I've always loved listening to him. But see that last night when his teams get knocked out and it's all about him. It's absolutely brilliant. I hope the referee hasn't done this, and I hope UEFA haven't done this because of me. Listen, mate, your team get knocked out. It's not really about you. You should be lauding these players for their performance last night. You should be showering them praise because they were excellent last night, Fenerbahce. I thought they were very, very good. And so they should be with the money they've spent on their squad, right enough. But he's just brilliant. And I'm jealous, actually. I want that picture. And I'll put my face on it instead.
I think that it's one of those ones where in selfie land you kind of need to get it. Sheryl, Bilbao next. Some team, Nico Williams Jr., we watched them beforehand, beat Roma albeit Roma were down to 10 men quite early. It's not going to be an easy task, but do you know what? Never thought we'd beat Dortmund, never thought we'd beat teams like these away, and they have, and at least we're in it, and at least we have an opportunity.
Absolutely, and I loved Josie's response when somebody, I can't remember who it was, but somebody asked him about that last night. What do you think our chances are in the next round? And he was very, very polite and very diplomatic, but very politely said, reading between the lines, not very much, not very many chance, or not very much chance, sorry. Do you know what? We're there and enjoy it, and enjoy the financial reward that it gets us. Enjoy the wee away trip as well. It coincides with Easter holidays. So I've done a few different searches, the combinations of flights here, there, and everywhere. I think we go. I think we do what we do on a Thursday night. We give it our best shot. We maybe watch Nico Williams against Shefty behind our fingers. But other than that, look, who knows what could happen? I'm sure we said this the last round when we spoke about Fenerbahce. So why not?
Why not, indeed? Do you know what? We've got a couple of weeks to dream about it and give it a right good go. And personally, the next couple of games that are coming up before this tie, I wouldn't be risking suitors and Ballagans and stuff like that. Celtic is different on Sunday, Kenny, which we'll come to now, but Dundee away and things like that, there's absolutely nothing to play for. We most likely are going to be quite a bit behind even then, no matter what happens on Sunday. 13, 16, 19, it's all the same thing, isn't it, really? I would be wrapping people up in cotton wool, but Sunday, I don't think Barry would let them do that. I said to him last night outside, actually, myself and David Egger were speaking to him, and I said, well, 3 points now on Sunday, Barry, come on, no excuses. And he said that it's so bad that I might have to get the boots on. He said to David as well to get his boots on. So if that's the position we're in for Sunday, again, we're in a bit of trouble. But Sunday, what do we say? We don't know the position of the squad. Barry's really good, actually, in press conferences. He doesn't give anything away. 1 or 2 niggles we know about, that's obvious. The usual stuff before Old Firm games about Callum McGregor being injured and missing training all week, and then pops up and is man of the match. It's a bit tiresome that way. I'm not really bothered about who they put out. They've got a really good team. We know that. It's going to be backs to the wall. It's going to be against it. Kenny, would you mix things up? Would you keep the same formation? How would you go on Sunday?
I'm not sure. I would change the formation. I think the formation is probably what he will start with, the 5 at the back. I think it gives you a foothold in the game. I think that's what it does, first and foremost. It's such a strange game to play, and it's just typical of us that we are guaranteed to make it difficult for ourselves by literally playing 120 minutes and penalties and all the stress and all the tension and everything that comes with it, that those players, and then all the emotion and the exhilaration after it, that's going to take a huge amount out of you. So it's, we were saying how we were all late to bed last night. Well, you think of those players, they'll be the same, and they'll be getting in today to get their rub downs and then it's tomorrow is literally the game, the day where they'll sit and prep for it. I've got 1 day to prep for this. They've had a week. I don't care if Callum McGregor plays or not. I'm not in the least bit interested, Brendan. Can you please stop talking about him? Because we don't care. I don't mean that to sound like I don't care about the game. Of course we care about the game. But as you say, Stevie, he does this every single time we play them. As if anybody's interested. I don't care. And what I'd like to see us do, Stevie, is literally go and take great confidence from Fenerbahce away, which is a tough, intimidating stadium to go and play in against a right good outfit. Same as them. It's exactly the same scenario almost, where you're going to play a good team in their own garden and go and try and take the game to them as best you can. How we cope, or last, I should say, in terms of fitness and stamina over the piece is a concern for me already. Instantly, I said it right away. It looked as if it was going to extra time. Well, here we go. Sunday's going to be a killer because that's going to take it out of them. But I'll just a little bit on what you said. You asked about Bilbao. I'll take great comfort in the fact that the last time we played a Spanish team, Stevie, we beat them home and away in Real Betis, didn't we? So maybe it's an omen. But for Sunday, listen, go and give everything. And as you say, from there on in, it's concentrate on. Is it 3 weeks? Yeah, it's 3 weeks, isn't it? Before the
10th, yeah.
Yeah, that's the day before my birthday. Nice birthday present from Rangers would be a nice wee win on that day. Or that night.
Sheryl, Sunday, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but without being
Always
disrespectful.
matters, Stevie.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Matters. If we were playing them at Scabby Queen, it would matter.
Yeah, but without being disrespectful, it's not our biggest game this week. That was last night. And I said that during the week, that Fenerbahce doubleheader, this is the big one for us, but it's all about that performance level for Rangers. Can they make it? I remember under Gio, they done Thursday night extra time, etc. And then they went to Hampden and went to extra time and got the result there as well. It's not beyond them. Sometimes I think Rangers are better going game. When they get time on the training pitch. In recent years, every time they've got that, they've seemed to have looked worse. I don't know if there's much we can do squad-wise. We'll be asking guys to, put bandages on and get out there like warriors and try and play the midfield. Diamande, Barron, Raskin, I can see that being the same. Would Bayrami maybe come in up front and try and close that space? I think potentially. I think maybe you've got a change at full-back. Would Balogun be able to play another 90 minutes after Robin Proper then come in? I don't think there's many changes, but those are maybe some. What's your thoughts?
I think, Stevie, just agreeing with what you said in terms of actually performing better when we're up against it and we've got this run of games, because we've seen even this season, we've had this much heralded, we've got a week till the next game, and the performances have been absolutely piss poor afterwards. So we do seem to play better when we're up against it, and we don't have that space almost to overthink things. It always matters. It doesn't matter if we were playing them at tiddlywinks. I would still want to absolutely obliterate them. The one thing that I do think we're in I don't know, it's bizarre. Obviously, the league situation is far from ideal, but I think we almost go into it in a far better position than we were a month ago. If you thought about this game a month ago, obviously we've got everything brewing in the background with the takeover stuff that's moving along very positively. An amazing result last night as well. And it's funny you mentioned that spell under Gio, because that's the game that I thought about, the European game on the Thursday, and then that performance at Hampden when we by rights should have been absolutely knackered and they should have been the far fitter of the two teams, but we outplayed them across the extra time as well. So I think there's huge decisions. The difficult one for me would be the Balogun Proper thing. I don't think, given what happened last night, that you can start Balogun, but we've seen the difference that he can make, and we've seen how poor Proper had been. If you look at that Motherwell game as well, just absolutely dire, St Mirren as well. But I would probably go with Proper and then maybe bring Balogun on if we need to. For me, the big question, I think, as well, and I think we spoke about it in the group chat, is who do we go with up front? Do we go with Igaman? Igaman last night, what we've seen over the last few games, he just looks a wee bit out of it at the moment. Sometimes you need to power through that and just keep on going. We know what he can offer us when he's on his game. Dessers hasn't had much luck in these games, and we know that Danilo, I don't know, would you start Danilo? I wouldn't at the moment. Again, I would maybe look to bring him on. Stevie's nodding away. Yep, I would. But for me, I think you would probably start with Igaman. Gents?
Well, I'd start Danny because he's my mate. But
I know, I knew that. No, you would.
I'm absolutely biased. But yeah, I think Dessers is your bet. I think Igaman, does look kind of off it, but you might find he might have to fill in elsewhere. So we don't know the situation in the squad, do we? He's a good sub to have, but then sometimes I think he struggles when he comes on as sub. He's going through a bit of a kind of spell at the moment, but he is a youngster. He's up and down. He's capable. I thought he occupied last night, but then he had that chance, didn't he? The big one where it kind of opened up, and at the point where he was going to shoot, it opened up because the boy committed himself. Had he have taken an extra step, would he have been in? It's not a criticism of him. It's all right, me sitting up, gantry thinking I'm wonderful, I can't even hit the football. So, it's not a criticism of him. But there's a few options. Danny is a good player. He can finish. He scored a couple of times against Celtic already. So would I be worried about putting him in, Kenny? I certainly wouldn't.
I wouldn't be worried, but I would start with Egerman on Sunday. I have to say I would, for a simple reason that I think he is probably a better option against Carter Vickers. I think he's more physical, and Dessers seems to get bullied quite, and it's not bullied. That's not the right word for it. It's more Carter Vickers is just stronger, I think, actually, in the challenge, and I think he struggles with it at times. And I would not have Balogun playing either. I would be looking at Balogun and saying that for the first leg against Bilbao, I think John Souttar's out, isn't he? So you wrap him in cotton wool, mate, and I wouldn't be playing him after 120 minutes. But Danilo and Bayrami are two that I would suggest are good options. Bayrami, because I think you'll want him to do a similar job that he's done the last couple of times against Callum McGregor, who will play. And Danilo's, does he get 2-2 against Celtic? Hasn't he? Yeah, he has. And, he's taking... I like Danilo. I've always liked Danilo as a player. I think there's a far better player than he's given credit for. And I just think he's a tough time with his injuries and his fitness. But for me, he will chop and change it a little bit. I think he'll have to, Stevie. What he does, I'm not quite sure, because I wasn't quite sure how Dujon Sterling was either, on the right on the right-hand side as well. I thought he looked very, very tired when he came off. So is he going to last 90 minutes? So he's got a lot of tough decisions to make in terms of how he goes about building his team for Sunday, because in that sense he actually might change it. I genuinely don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, but we're beginning to run out of options for playing with three at the back if you don't play Leon Balogun and Dujon Sterling's perhaps not 100% ready to play 90 minutes yet, so it's difficult.
Okay.
Play Sterling at centre half, sorry.
Well, you could. We'll just need to wait and see what Sunday brings. Kenny, a pleasure as always, my friend. Thank you very much.
Not at all. Thank you. Thanks, Sheryl. Enjoyed that.
Lovely. Thank you, gents.
Sheryl, the queen of bringing big, massive buttons to Marks and Spencer's, aren't they?
Marks and Spencer's and Mini Bites as well. Spoilt last night, you're aware.
Yep, and you wonder why I'm chubby. Right, on that note, at least I'm happy. I'm off to phone my new best friend, Jose Mourinho. Rangers are in the quarters of Europe. Bilbao, here we come. Why can't it be us? Have fun, folks. Have a good weekend. Thanks to our sponsors, Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions, Black Rooster, and Art of Gold, as well as my friend Carlo at CSD Air Conditioning, who treated me for lunch today at the Blue Sky Lounge. It was absolutely beautiful and is committed to helping the podcast for the next few years as well. Thank you to Carlo and all the team at CSD Air Conditioning. We appreciate it. Yep, I'm off the phone, Jose. Have a good weekend, folks. We'll see about that on Sunday.
Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, along with Art of Gold. Thank you for listening or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.